Welcome to Adeptus On-Air, the show where we examine how individuals and companies make decisions that drive their business and personal success. Each week, we connect with notable professionals who pull back the curtain on the industries that Adeptus has been on the cutting edge of for the last 30 years, including music, sports, and entertainment, as well as new emerging markets.
Welcome to our latest edition of Adeptus On Air, and today we have a great guest in Christine Blanchette. She's a television host, a producer, fitness enthusiast. So thank you so much for joining the show, Christine.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So a lot of things I want to get into. For starters, you're a dual threat both in front of the camera and behind the camera. How did you develop both skills? Because usually in that business, it's one or the other. That's a good thing that you actually have a very strong background in both.
Well, I think is by doing. I had a bit of experience with Rogers TV, but I never thought that I would be doing both. I was working at the newspaper at the time, Post Media, and I was laid off, unfortunately, but it was a good thing because when one door closes, another door is to be open. I was on my computer, I was on deadline for an article, an epiphany, and I thought, why don't I create my own TV show? And I'm thinking, yes, I can do that. But that I had a bit of a background from Rogers TV, doing not so much, well, yes, producing and hosting, interviewing. West Side Profile was live to tape interviews, half-hour interviews, yes, and doing a double ender and just learning the skills along the way. And having that skill set, that helped me create a show. And that took a team, obviously, but it took 2 years to get off the ground. But it's perfecting, it's a craft, and I'm still crafting, getting better skills because we never stop learning. When you're so passionate about something, it drives you no matter what. So it's by learning by doing. But that's how it started. It just came from an idea of my passion for running, and it led to creating my own TV show, which is called Run With It.
That's awesome. And just to provide background, Rogers Communications, correct? That's kind of like a big, like a Comcast in the U.S. or ESPN sort of in the U.S., like a big communications company. What was it like working for them?
It was great. I mean, my role was, it was sort of like an intern, working and hosting and doing a double ender. I know a double ender is like going live on TV and then, as you know, and then doing the interview. And I was nervous, but along the way, they taught you, they gave you workshops, and I did West Side Profile live to tape, which is just incredible experience, and also taking courses too. And that was something that I feel so privileged to have done in my life, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't do all those steps along the way, and which led me to saying, okay, I can do my own TV show, freelance producing.
Awesome. Which skill is the most challenging for you, you think? Is it the producing side or the interviewing side? They both have their challenges.
That's a great question. I think it depends on the day, if it comes to technology or problems with technology, it also depends on what I'm working on. But I love both. I can't really, because it's different. Producing is coordinating the guests, coming up with questions. Hosting it's beautiful because it's about the guest, not about you. But the producing can be a bit of a challenge when a guest doesn't show up, or you can't get into the venue, or it just happens, right? Because you always have to be prepared. So I always say to myself, you can only control what you can control. And I hope that answers your question. It comes with I love both, but if I had to really decide, I think I would choose hosting. I really do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They both are difficult.
And so many people are nervous about public speaking and doing interviews, especially when you put a camera there. How did you naturally just have the courage? Is that something that you learned, or is that something that you just always had? Because I think research recently, public speaking is one of the biggest fears amongst people. just of all nations and genders and everything. It kind of crosses every boundary as far as, one of the biggest fears.
Well, I think is when you really want something you can do, but I also think I've always been kind of shy, but it's just that when you're so passionate, right? It just you got to have a great team behind you. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to be patient. You don't expect that you're going to be on TED Talks or having your own show, but you really need to, you know, drive yourself or have that passion because I just find that what have I got to lose, right? If you
Yeah.
don't if you don't do it, try it, then you won't know. But I love my message, I take myself out of it, if that makes any sense. If I have an ego out and just talk about what I'm going to be saying. And when I focus on the talent, when I focus on the audience, when I focus on my guests, it makes me feel calm because it's not about me, it's about the guests and the audience. So that really helps. And also perfecting, always perfecting your craft.
Tell us about your show Run With It. Obviously, it combines your passion for fitness and running, and also you're able to host and produce. Just tell us, just in general, what's the concept of the show?
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's a running fitness and health program. It's a half-hour show. It started off as a running show, but now has stronger legs. I say now it's a fitness entertainment program where I have doctors on the show, actors who are following a healthy lifestyle, dietitians, CEOs, entrepreneurs. It has that element of health and or fitness, financial fitness, which is really good. I've had a couple of guests on the show, and events like the Vancouver Sun Run, marathons, charities. Hmm.
What are some initial tips that you would provide for just a novice or introduction person that's getting into running? What are some initial tips that you would provide?
Just start, but also see a doctor before you start any program because you never know. And I teach running, I teach the Learn to Run clinic. Also, to find a proper running program because there's so many programs out there. Find out what your fitness goals are, first of all, because and start small too. I would suggest not to start off like with a half marathon. Start with like a 5K or a 10K to begin with, and be really patient with yourself. Enjoy the journey, but a proper program, getting fitted into the right shoes, which is a big deal. Don't choose just the color like I used to, and because one shoe does not fit all. And just as I said, just be really patient and enjoy because it's all about you because everyone has different fitness goals. But that's the thing, you have to have a goal, small goal and a bigger goal. So 5K, maybe the half marathon. Yes.
Wow, and that hit home a little bit because especially the shoe part because I run a little bit just on the treadmill while working out and I'm having some heel problems on my left heel's aching me a little bit. I'm hoping it's not plantar fasciitis or anything like that, anything serious. Um, but as far as stuff like that, what advice would you have for me? Or I'm sure there might be others out there that foot might hurt or heel may hurt just from running and working out.
Yes. Well, I'm not a doctor or physiotherapist, but what I can tell you is to look after it right away. Because if you don't, it may lead to another nagging injury or further injure yourself. So just maybe it could be the shoes, it could be overtraining, could be your biomechanics, could be a list of things. So I would stop, reassess. Sometimes it could just be a little injury that it could be nothing. Like I've gone through, oh, I don't feel right, and I just continue running. Another key thing too is that my coach taught me is that around the track is you always go one direction. Go the other direction because you're always relying on that leg, your left leg, in other words. But yes, I hope that answers your question. But just it could be, some things that, is preventable. So see someone to, because you don't want it to continue. Also, another thing that's good is massage therapy. When you're training lots, it's good to even physiotherapy too, because it keeps your, stretching and massage therapy and people it's wonderful treat too.
No, that's really good advice. I appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about Vancouver. I've only been there once. I really liked the place. The people were great, and it was so scenic and lots to see. The food there was really good. Very diverse town. It was a long flight coming from Miami, but it was a really nice place. So just tell us a little bit about Vancouver. Your background in Vancouver. Were you born there, or did you move there? Tell us a little bit about the city.
Yes, thank you. Well, I was born in Guelph, Ontario, and I grew up in Quebec, and I've been in Vancouver since 1989. And I love Vancouver for many reasons. Such an outdoorsy city. You can play golf all year round, basically. The mountains are not very far, like Grouse Mountain. You can snowshoe, you can do cross country skiing, you can run pretty much. It's an outdoorsy city. I'm a foodie. There's all types of foods you can choose from. And I just like the climate. Although I do have to say, it rains a lot, when it rains, it can be a little, so I'll take my workouts indoors. But overall, I just think it's a great place. But I think every place, like across Canada, if you will, is special. Like, they have their benefits. Like Quebec. I mean, I'm going to talk about Quebec now. If I is very, there's so much you can do, like the snowshoeing and the skiing and the maple syrup, and there's every province. So every place is beautiful. It's embracing what you can offer. That's where I'll leave it at that. Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been to Toronto probably 3 or 4 times. I've been to Vancouver once, and I think that's about my experience. Up north. That's awesome. Your other show, the closing act, profiles musicians and influencers. Tell us a little bit about your other show.
yes, thanks for asking. Well, it's a music entertainment program. It's a half hour show, like Run With It. I interview comedians, actors. I do red carpet interviews with film directors, filmmakers, and it's all about, as I said at the beginning, or before we went on air, it's about the guests finding out what I can educate, inform the viewers, the listeners, and what they can take away from it. Because everybody has a story to tell, and my job is to get as much information out there and provide it and make whoever's listening and watching, they make the decision. Oh, maybe I do want to be a comedian. Maybe I can learn this, to, you know, uh, run, or maybe take up running, or whatever the case may be from both shows.
Yeah. I thought you mentioned red carpet interviews. What is that like? Versus a typical interview. What's a red carpet interview like, where you have celebrities around, there's energy, everybody's trying to get a certain performer or actor or actress. What is it like working a red carpet?
Oh, I love it because it's you have to think quickly on your feet. Now, granted, you really can't get a great in-depth interview generally, but it's studying the room or studying the people, and you ask questions. And again, it's all about them, and don't ask the same type of questions. And I just love the energy, and it's their moment, and I'm trying to help them shine. And it's lots of fun. It can be hectic, if you will, but it's thinking quickly on your feet, and just having everybody in your team helping you along the way. I don't know what else to say. I just love it. And I'm doing one on Saturday. So I just
Oh,
can't
really?
wait. Yes.
What's the event coming up that you're about to do?
Oh, the Vancouver International Film Festival, and I'd like to get to the Toronto International Film Festival. I haven't done it. Yeah, I haven't done that one yet. Haven't got there. Santa Barbara. I've done virtual interviews at Whistler Film Festival. I just love it because there's so many great films and so many. It's such a creative place. Being on the red carpet. Yeah, I can't wait.
Red carpet or otherwise, who are some of your favorite interviews that you've done, and why?
Well, I like everybody is, I really don't have a favorite, but I've interviewed like Biff Naked, international recording artist. She's a humanitarian. I've interviewed, my goodness, Michelle Wright, a country singer. I interviewed Slow Horses, the composers for the TV series on Apple, and they were up for an Emmy nominated. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, like, I don't have to, I'm interviewing so many people that I can't keep, there's just everyone's a favorite. It's really, um, I just enjoy every single interview. I hope that answers your question, James.
No, very much. I could tell that you enjoy the craft of it, and every interview is a little different because every personality is a little different, right?
Mhm.
So that's awesome. Where do you see yourself, your shows? Um, where do you see things going forward? Kind of what's your 2 to 4 year plan, your goals, in terms of growth and audience, and where you see both shows going?
Well, both shows are live streaming on Zonder TV Network, which is on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Chat, Roku. It's actually live streaming on the Real Women's Network and another live streaming platform. And it's really building the platforms. And I love podcasts. I love interviewing CEOs, entrepreneurs. I love the financial fitness, sorry. And I've had a lawyer, real estate lawyer. I love the corporate too. I find there's room to tell stories because these stories are not told. It's not just celebrities, if you will, but I love to interview business people, entrepreneurs, and I also write. So I just want to build both shows, and there's room for it on my platforms. And yes, and I just want to take as far as I can. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who are some other media people in your sphere, or maybe just in general, that you look to and say, oh, yeah, they're doing a great job. I really like how they do this or how they do that. Who are some people that you kind of nod to and kind of not necessarily emulate, but at least, say, look, they're doing it. They're doing a great job. They're doing it the right way.
oh my goodness, a great question. I find that, TV shows like TV interviewers that I really, um, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
this may,
Media in general.
yes, well, I mean, I do like, I hope I'm not, Kelly Clarkson. I just like the way and I interviewed um, her music producer, who's an author. The book just came out, like the Chronicles, I believe. Don't quote one of the books. I think that's the title. The Caretaker. Sorry, The Caretaker, and that was a great. I think being inspired by watching other people. I like Oprah Winfrey. I like David Letterman. David stating myself, but I just love the way he interviews. Um, I know he doesn't have a show anymore, but it's just his style. And I think when you take a little bit from each person, and then you become, because my quote is, be who you are, there's no one like you. I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
anybody else, but be me. And that's my brand, my personal brand. But I also said, it's going back, if I may, is the corporate sector, because these are the stories I feel that mentors. Charmaine Crooks, who's a five-time Olympian, came with me. She's someone who I'm inspired by, and I'm friends with her. So I feel, um, yeah, I just feel there's always someone that you can learn from. And I'm an educator too. I teach, and I'm trying to get, whatever I'm learning, I want to pass it on.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And Christine, where can people find in the audience? Where can people find your social channels? I think you mentioned some of the networks where your shows are, but where are you on social media and Instagram and Twitter and things of that nature, so the audience can find your great work.
Yeah, no, thank you. My website, please, runwithit.ca. You can find me by Googling my last name, Christine Blanchette, social media, Instagram, um, which is Christine _TV, Christine Blanchette _TV. But you'll find, you just Google me, please, and if people have questions, they can reach out. But it's just been, it's exciting, and I just really am excited to talk to you today and share my story.
Yeah, that's awesome, Christine. Thank you so much. You've done so much amazing work, and looking forward to more. Uh, from your two shows, and have fun on your red carpet interview as well. So thank you so much for joining Adeptus On Air, Christine, and it was awesome talking to you.
Likewise, thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Adeptus On Air. If you like this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. The views and opinions by the podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Adeptus. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice.